Changing a Harley-Davidson oil filter. Without it puking oil down the front of the bike. 2003 Harley guy here with another helpful video for when it's time to do a notoriously messy Harley-Davidson oil filter change. Many Harley stealers are charging upwards of $150 these days just for an oil and filter change. Add in a primary and gearbox service and man, you're going to need to dig deep. Due to these high costs, many of us are choosing to do our own oil change and service to save some bones. In this video, I'd like to share some neat tricks I've devised over the years for quickly and easily changing out my Harley-Davidson oil filter with no mess. So let me show you how I change my oil filter without spilling one drop of oil using my capture bottle method that I came up with. It's a pretty cool trick. I think you'll like it. This is legal text and disclaimers. Please read. Okay, let's get started. At the top of my list is always a high quality oil filter like a K&N or equivalent. Another tip, I prefer a filter with an embossed hex stud for easy install and removal. My K&N filter is sold at Advanced Auto Parts. The last K&N filter I bought, I had a 20% off coupon they emailed to me, so the filter only cost me about 13 bucks. If you don't like paying the high price for motorcycle oil, well, they run great sales on oil also, and with the coupons they email out, that means even better prices. I know each location's staff varies, but in my local store, they're a great bunch. The staff is friendly, knowledgeable, and helpful. And again, 20% off. Another huge tip is the vertical positioning of the bike before the oil change. If left to lean on the jiffy stand, oil will just pool inside the oil filter. I'm guessing it can trap about a third of its volume inside the oil filter when it's tilted. When you remove the filter from the adapter plate, well, the oil has to go somewhere. And yep, that's all over the front of the bike and your shop floor. So to avoid the tilt and pooling of oil before I do an oil change, I parked the bike on a Condor motorcycle stand. I bought the stand about 10 years ago and I still love this stand. It saves me floor space and makes my service work and cleaning the bike so much easier. For those of you not familiar with motorcycle stands, the way the motorcycle stand works is you roll the bike up on it and it has a swiveling cup plate in the back that cams over and grabs the back of the front tire, so it's being held by the back of the front tire, the middle of the front tire, and the front of the front tire. It's a pretty slick way of doing it. I chose the Condor stand over the $60 Harbor Freight version because I like the looks, the strength, the function of the Condor far better. Any way you look at it, the money I saved by doing my own service has paid for my Condor many times over. For many years before I bought a Condor stand, I would just stack short lengths of 2x4s or 4x4s or whatever I had under both sides of the frame to block the bike up and level it out. The 2x4 method is way more hazardous and unstable, but it's what I had to work with. Still in all, the blocks beat me sitting on the bike, holding it vertically to let the oil drain out, or placing blocks under the jiffy stand, which is also really unstable. Another trick, I drain the oil while the motor is hot, but let the bike cool off quite a bit, standing vertically and dripping out the last of the old motor oil before removing the oil filter. I feel this method is way better than dealing with hot oil and skin burns. I give my bike sufficient time to drain most of the oil out of the filter, back into the crankcase, and then on out into the drip pan. I then replace the oil drain plug in the oil pan and place the bike back onto its jiffy stand. Another trick I came up with, I use an empty quart oil bottle or other suitable plastic bottle that I call my capture bottle. The capture bottle needs to be round and slightly larger in diameter than the actual oil filter, and it needs to be easily cut with a knife or scissors. The bottom of the bottle is simply cut off to slip over the filter. It's better if the bottle also barely slips over the filter adapter casting. The bottle just needs to slide over the filter and beyond by about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch if possible. The cap of the bottle also needs a little work to accept a socket extension. I cut the pointed nose off so the extension will tightly pass through it while still providing a tight seal to keep any oil captured inside the bottle from spilling out. It doesn't need to be an oil bottle either. I used an empty 1/2 and 1/2 bottle this time just to show how it can be done also. As before, the bottom of the bottle is simply cut off to slip over the filter and flange. Then I drilled a hole in the bottle's flat cap to fit the extension shaft tightly. Then the cap goes back on. And I push the extension through the hole. Then I put an appropriate size socket onto the extension to fit the embossed hex stud on the oil filter. Then I'll just slide a rag underneath the oil filter just to be extra careful. And I'll slide the oil capture bottle over top of the oil filter and the oil filter adapter flange. And I'll slide the socket up to the embossed hex stud on the oil filter and make sure that's on there. And then I'll use my ratchet to just unscrew it from the oil filter adapter flange. And when I feel the oil filter disengage off of the oil filter flange, I'll just pull it back kind of like a syringe. And it pulls the oil filter to the back of the bottle, along with any oil that was trapped in there. After the oil filter is removed, I wipe everything down and check everything for damage. I especially look to make sure the old oil filter's rubber gasket didn't stick to the adapter flange. To remove the old oil filter from the capture bottle, you just push it through using the socket extension. Then if needed, you can just drain any remaining oil. Going forward, just follow the manufacturer's instructions on installing the oil filter along with the service manual instructions on installing a new oil filter and refilling your crankcase with the appropriate oil and quantity. Okay, I'm done, and I just saved myself about $150 to $200. I feel pretty good about that. Wipe everything down, clean everything up, good to go. Hey, if you think this video helped you, how about subscribing, throwing me a thumbs up, sharing this video? All of it's appreciated. Thanks for watching.